G'day folks, and welcome back to Nomifactory. So, as I mentioned at the end of the last video, I was feeling a bit unwell. I've had a cold for the last few days, so not really much has happened in the world. I just did a lot of batch crafting and a tiny bit of progression. And basically that progression is in the form of this thing, our very first blast furnace. So this is a big milestone. It's the first big milestone in the pack, and generally the first big milestone in GregTech. And this will be used to make our more advanced materials, and we'll be seeing a lot of this, and we'll be making a lot of these. As I probably mentioned in one of my GTNH videos, one of the things I definitely did wrong in my GTNH run and in my previous Nomifactory run that I did last year is I stuck with only one of these for a very long time. So realistically, we should be making at least one more of these, so we can have two going at once, which isn't too bad in Nomifactory. These aren't too terrible to make in Nomifactory. And we have a 16 amp LV power line here, which effectively equates to 1 amp of HV. So technically we could run 4 of these at MV and be fine. But realistically, we will probably just build a second one and put it here. I've basically done input hatches at the top. These are for the various boosting gases. In the beginning, it's basically just nitrogen and oxygen. For the earlier game materials, but we will start needing things like helium, for example, later on, and I think there's a few others. I'm not sure that there's as many boosting gases as there is in GTNH, but but there are a few, and it does get more exotic. Like I believe, unless it's changed between 1.6 and 1.7, draconium, I believe you actually have to process by putting high octane gasoline into the blast furnace. So yeah, so I set this thing going overnight, a couple of nights ago to batch craft us a load of aluminium, because we're going to need a lot of this in MV. So this is like, what is it, 2,000 and something aluminium, so this should see us for quite a bit. And then we also upgraded our power line, so this is now energetic alloy cable, which was also unlocked by upgrading to the blast furnace. So this can now carry 1 amp of HV, whereas conductive iron can only carry 1 amp of MV. And we added another boiler dynamo and 2 more turbine dynamos. So these are happily now outputting. So these are outputting 240 RF per tick. So that's 960 RF per tick across all 4 of these. If my off the top of my head math was correct. We also got our first auto miner. It's only an LV one. It's slow. It doesn't have a big range, but it is in the Lost Cities dimension right now. It's here. It has run out of fuel. It's not actually finished yet. So it probably would be faster if I didn't keep letting it run out of fuel. But the problem is I am fueling it manually right now because we don't have access to ender tanks yet. So the way that I am fueling it is I slapped a pump onto a oil vein in the overworld. So as you walk around the overworld, you'll probably see these big spouts of black fluid. Those are oil veins. You can basically just slap the pump on them and call it a day. Now the pump, I'm so used to playing GTNH that I got a bit confused about how the pump worked. So the pump in GTCU works a bit differently. In GTNH, you have to put it sort of above, and above the vein, and it will extend a pipe down underneath. This doesn't appear to do that. So there's no pipe, but as you can see, it is it has picked up the oil. I'm not sure how much is left in this vein. Typically, the oil veins are sort of like a I don't know the shape of the bottle. The bottles they use in science, where it's like a sort of a big, big round bit at the bottom with a narrow tube. I'm lost for the word. The oil veins are sort of shaped like that, so they have this kind of long way down, but then there's actually a big sort of sphere shaped area at the bottom, which is also filled with oil. So there's probably still a fair bit in there. But yeah, I've just been taking this to the miner and filling it manually. Once we get to MV and we get vanadium steel and the MV assembler, we can make the fluid drilling rig. And that will basically allow us to access the infinite void, infinite oil deposits in the void. So I'm looking forward to that because that will make things a lot easier. We will be able to passive a few things like sulfuric acid and polyethylene off of that, which will make our transition through MV easier because that's when we'll be starting to need plastics. And we will also be able to get some fuel as well to basically use for things like miners and so on. At the moment, I am also just batch crafting a load of wooden planks because we'll need these for our next project. So, in order to get into MV, we need MV circuits. And so aluminium and copper cable are two of the sort of first pieces of the puzzle. But we will need a couple of other bits. So we'll need our first circuits. Which these are, this is my least favorite circuit to craft, primarily because we have to get fennel, and getting fennel in, getting our first batch of fennel is not particularly fun. But once we get it set up, and once we get a tree farm set up, then it becomes a lot easier. But we're gonna have to get the first sort of batch manually. And the way that we will do that is we will build the where is it? We will use. I don't want that. We will use coal tar. And the way we will get coal tar will be from the pyrolysis oven. So this is a pretty decent looking multi-block. It basically takes wood and turns it into charcoal, but it also produces byproduct chemicals such as wood tar, which can then be distilled into many more useful chemicals. It's also part of the biomass line as well. It can produce biomass and fermented biomass from plant matter. Basically, in the beginning, we're just going to shove charcoal into it, and then that will turn into coal tar, which will then distill into fennel. But we're going to be building quite a few of these. We are probably not going to go benzene for power. One of the other key lines that this is used in is basically to produce a massive amounts of charcoal and wood tar to turn into benzene for power. I don't think we're going to do benzene power. In all honesty, I think what we will do, because oil is so readily available and renewable, and I haven't really done oil power before, because I did benzene in my GTNH world, and I did benzene in my Nomifactory world as well, I believe. So, in my hard mode world. So, I think in this world, we will probably do oil as our kind of next power, because I think steam is serving us well, but I think we're going to start to have problems as we get towards sort of HV, and we will look at moving to numismatic dynamos, which are powered by diamonds, but for that we need to get more deep mob learning stuff set up. We need to have a self-sustaining deep mob learning setup. So we'll see. Numismatic dynamos aren't terrible to make. They're unlocked as soon as you get vibrant alloy. So we'll see. But for now, we need to get the pyrolysis oven. The most annoying part of it, really, is actually the ULV casings. Ooh, no, it's not. I thought it needed ULV machine hulls, but it only needs ULV casings. So I don't actually need the wood planks that I'm putting in there, because ULV machine hulls, they need wrought iron plates and wood planks. And these wood planks are a bit annoying because they take 10 seconds each in an LV compressor to make one. But I misread. It's not actually it's the casing we need, which is just wrought iron plates. So this will actually be pretty quick to craft up. The coils are just the copper nickel coils, which we make in the assembler. So they're quite simple to make, and yeah, we just need 2 LV energy hatches. So yeah, I think this will be. I don't think this will actually be too bad. I think what I might do for now is just shove it here, so it can sit off this line, and then we'll move it later on. Because if we build a second blast furnace, which I probably will soon, we'll shove it here. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and I'm going to get the bits for the pyrolyzed oven together, and then we're going to whack it together, and then we'll look at the next step towards our MV circuit, towards our first MV circuit. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Right, and we are back. So I've crafted up the bits for the pyrolyzed oven. So basically for this one, so I did mention the coal tar recipe. We're not going to do that. That's actually a very inefficient way of doing it, and it's probably why I hated this part of progression so much, because I was doing it inefficiently. The reason I never really did it was in hard mode. I just didn't want to go out and mine all the coal, but it is literally one. What's the recipe? It's 16 coal to 1 bucket of fennel, which isn't great, but it does give us coal. It does give us coal coke, which we can use to, which we can use in our primitive blast furnaces to make some more steel, and we can just throw away the excess. But I think that's going to be the easier way, because it means we don't have to worry. It means we don't have to fiddle about with extra machines. So for that, we obviously need the controller. I'm still missing the coils. I'm going to set those going shortly. What I need is I need to take 2 stacks of this and the tin alloy ingot. So I need to make molten tin alloy in the extractor, and I need 2 stacks of 2x copper nickel wire, and then we'll throw all that in the assembler in a minute. So basically we need the LV output hatch for the fennel. The quest says we only need 10 casings. I just made 11. Maintenance hatch. 2. We actually don't need 2 LV energy hatches, because this is a. This is only an LV recipe. So we could actually put that in there. And that also means that we could technically just power it off this basic steam turbine that was literally sat there for ages doing nothing. Because we do need a muffler hatch for the pyrolyzed oven, output bus, input bus, but we also need an input hatch because this recipe needs steam, which we have steam here. So I'm actually going to put the oven here, because it sort of makes sense. We have steam here, and we can just use the steam turbine for power, and then use the also send the steam into the input hatch. I did extend the line slightly, and I've now added a centrifuge to the line to go through the various ores. I thought I made a chemical reactor as well, but I appear to have lost that. I may not have actually gotten around to making it. But basically this will go through the various sort of ores, and centrifuge the impure dusts that we get from the forge hammer. And the other thing is I've added a tank to the side, because we will need to start looking at centrifuging sticky resin, so we can get liquid rubber in the chemical reactor. But sticky resin also gives us glue when you centrifuge it, which is something that we need to make cheaper resistors, and I think a couple of other bits cheaper. So we'll start building up a stockpile of glue in that tank, and then what we'll have eventually is probably, I don't know, somewhere around here, just out of the way, we'll have a series of tanks, Ender tanks, just holding a bunch of fluids. I've slapped the miner down on a coal vein in the Lost City, so we've got a stack here. Each one of these gets you two coal. So we'll get about 4 buckets of fennel per stack of coal, which is still not great, but I'm fairly sure it's actually more efficient than the coal tar way. It's actually quite a bit more efficient than the coal tar way, I'm fairly sure. So we will do that. These I also set DML going again, just to get some more, just to level up the zombie model. But what I do want to do is this is almost, I think this will be self-aware very shortly, which means it'll have maximum sort of pristine chance. But yeah, one of the reasons I got the centrifuge over there for doing the impure dusts is it gives you a chance to double the uraninite dust, which is kind of what I want to do. So we'll just wait for these. We'll wait for these wires to finish. We have our. I'm gonna make an Ender IO tank really quickly just to lug fluids around. Have I got the stuff in here to be able to make just a basic one? I do. So we'll just make one, because then we can use it to lug fluids around instead of cells. So we'll take the molten tin alloy out of here, and we'll wait for this to finish. We'll go chuck them in the assembler. Chuck everything in the assembler, and then we'll have our. I believe we need foil as well. Yeah, we need foil as well, so I'll go sort that out. And then once we've got our coils, I'll come back and we'll build our pyrolysis oven. And we are back. So let's get this pyrolysis oven built. So we're going to put it here. So if we do, so the structure is basically put that there, I guess, and then you there. So, and then we can do that. So what we'll do is we will actually put the input hatch there. We will put the energy hatch there, and then we can put our steam turbine there. I don't know if I had this last episode either. I crafted up a tool belt between episodes at some point. I don't know if it was after the last episode. But yeah, I highly recommend one of these. Basically, you can craft the tool belt with just leather, but then once you get the primitive blast furnace and get access to steel, you can add more belt pouches to it to allow it to hold up to 9 tools. So yeah, it's quite a handy little thing. I never bothered crafting it before, but I do highly recommend it. So if we just do that and then that, yeah, the preview does disappear after a while. And then what we'll do is we'll do the. I actually tend to like to do the maintenance hatch at the front of the multi-block, so we'll do the maintenance hatch there, and then we'll put the coils down just to sort of get everything laid out. I placed one of those wrong. Let me do that, and that. And basically, as you upgrade the tiers of coils on here, it actually reduces the processing time for recipes. So that's something to sort of keep an eye out on. So we're going to do the input bus. I think we're going to do the input bus. Probably just shove it on the top, to be honest. Output bus I would like to shove here, and output hatch I would also like to shove there, and we'll basically just put like a chest there and a tank there, because these will auto eject. And then the rest of it is just casings. So that's the front, and then for the back we just do that, and then we'll put the muffler hatch in the middle, and there we go. We now have our formed structure. So we'll set I believe it needs a circuit. If we double check. Yeah, it needs a circuit 14. So one really nice thing about GTNH that I kind of wish was in CEU is you can actually shift left click this GUI, and it'll open up a little another little sub GUI with all of the circuit numbers, and you can just pick one without having to scroll. But unfortunately with this you just have to scroll. So be careful when you're scrolling. That I wouldn't do it with any ingredients in here, because different recipes have different circuits, but they may use the same ingredients. So you could scroll through the circuit list and the machine may actually consume your ingredients to do a recipe that you didn't intend to do. I've done that many times. So definitely would recommend, if you're going to change circuits, do it with no ingredients in the machine. So this is going now, so this should have power. And then we need steam for the actual recipe as well. So I don't think I'm missing anything. I don't think I'm missing anything, so let's grab the... I'm going to use a pressurized fluid tank because that can house 32 buckets. And then we'll just quickly make a chest. And then, yeah, I'll use the coal coke for... because I'm not... obviously, the fuel over there is renewable, so I don't need the coal coke for those. So I might as well just use it for the blast furnaces and for the primitive blast furnaces, and then I can... hang on. We will actually swap these around, because if I put the tank on top, I won't be able to open the chest. So we will actually swap these around. This axe is getting ready for repairing. And then we'll put that there. And then we'll see if we get any... So I have a load of coal ore here. Really do need to go and smelt. We'll go and smelt that. But I do have some coal in here already. So let's just shove that in there. And see if it works. Oh, maintenance. Maintenance. This is something that is... So we'll take that out. I need to see if there's like a toolbox or something, like there is in GTNH, where you can just right-click it with the toolbox. Because I don't think you can right-click it with the tool belt, unfortunately. But once we get plastic, we will... I'm fairly sure it's once we get plastic, we will actually have access to duct tape. And what you can do is you can actually put the duct tape in here, and exactly as it says, insert it to prevent problems, which is something I really do like. It's nice to be able to just grab the... It's nice to be able to just... we just need the crowbar. Oh yeah, and if you do have maintenance issues and you hover over this, it'll tell you exactly what tool you need. So we need a crowbar. And now we're good. So if I shove you in there... It takes 40 seconds, which isn't great. I could technically run this at MV, actually, if I made a second one of these steam turbines, or if I was to just maybe hook it up to this. It might be worth maybe just hooking it up to the main line, because then at least it'll run at 20 seconds. But for now, it's fine. We'll bulk craft it. We can bulk craft it and go do other stuff. There are other things that we need to do, but I would really like to get our first LV circuit at the end of this episode. Which means it might be a slightly longer one, because we'll go and sort a couple of other bits. Now that we have DML set up and we have overworldian matter, we can get to the Nether, and I have I potentially have a chemical reactor laying around somewhere, or I just need to quickly craft one. We can get to the Nether, and getting to the Nether will make a few things a little bit easier. Things like glowstone and sulfur and whatnot will get easier in the Nether. But we should. But there we go. We have our first phenol. Each bucket of this will actually craft 10 phenolic boards. Where are they? Each bucket will craft 10 phenolic boards, and you use the coated boards to make those, which are just wood and sticky resin. So I'm going to quickly swap you out. Yeah, this is where multi-block maintenance is a little bit of a pain early game, but it's not terrible. Right, so we will make some. Can we actually make some? We need more sticky resin. We need more sticky resin. Just grab that. That'll be fine. Put that in there. So, yes, we can make 10 from a bucket. Now, the next one is going to be, the next step is to make these. At the moment, this is the only recipe we can use because we don't have sodium persulfate or iron 3 chloride. We'll probably go the iron 3 chloride route, I think, because I think it's a bit easier to make than sodium persulfate. Yeah, because that needs sulfuric acid. Sorry, excuse me, which we don't have yet. So we'll so we have 10 of those. We have our bucket of phenol. We just need a chemical reactor. So I'll just quickly craft a chemical reactor. Just need the hull. Yeah, I think that's what I got sidetracked on. I needed rotors. So I just batch crafted a bunch of rotors, and then I think I got sidetracked onto something else. But yeah, we have our basic chemical reactor. So the first use, we're not gonna batch craft these by hand. Definitely not. We are going to craft exactly one in order to get the circuit assembler, because then everything becomes a bit more efficient. So we will basically slap this here. We'll shove that in there, and then we will grab some... actually, there's 4 buckets there now. So we will grab... basically just grab all of that, actually. We'll make 40. Might as well, if I can. No, not yet. Well, I'll craft the rest off camera. I'll go get the... I'll get harvest the tree farm, get some more sticky resin, and craft the rest off camera. But 18 will be more than enough for now. So if we pop that in there, and why don't I have power? Yeah, why doesn't it have power? Because it's connected. There is nothing else running. Yeah, there's nothing else running. There's plenty of charge. We've got our 16 batteries. Should we just try it over here? It works there. Just does not work there. Is it because of... It can't be because of this, surely. I'll tell you what, let's just disable it and see. No, that's really weird. 16x conductive iron wire, they're all connected. I'll tell you what, we'll break the wire. If I don't figure it out now, then we'll... then I'll figure it out off camera, and then we'll come back. I need wire cutters. So we disconnect you, and then we do... because these work. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that was really weird. Just needed replacing for some reason, by the looks of it. That sort of thing does happen every now and again. I've been seeing it a bit with the GregTech New Horizons 2.7 as well, where I've had to sort of replace cable diodes every now and again because they just seem to kind of stop dioding. But there we go. So we have our first, or we will have our first phenolic circuit board. That's a quest. I really don't like this effect. I don't like that this void is in a desert biome. But there we are, we have our first quest. So we can now craft this with 4 silver ingots worth of wire. I'm just going to sleep to quickly clear this. And then we will look at the next step for getting... we will then look at the next step for getting our first circuit, which is going to be gallium arsenide. So, where are we? We should have a decent-ish amount of... No, we don't have a huge amount of silver, but we will just craft... I'll tell you what, we will do... We'll make 32 ingots worth of silver wire. Because we're probably going to be making a few boards this way. Unfortunately, until we get iron 3 chloride. which I just need to figure out the best way for us to get the chlorine for that. So we should just wait for that. Come on. I do understand that obviously this is, yeah, these episode, yeah, some of this stuff is quite slow. Unfortunately, that is just sort of early game Greg Tech. I don't want to cut out too much, but basically, once we, and there we go, we have our. So what we're missing now is diodes. So yeah, so diodes are a component of the next circuit assembly tier. They're made from an assembler from liquid glass, fine copper, and gallium arsenide. Always be on the lookout for better recipes there. So right now we can't really. Oh, I held a stack of silver. So that actually gets us another Nomi quarter. From that quest. Shove that in there. Shove that in there. So basically, I think what we're going to do is probably buy sphalerite ore to get the gallium. And then I think the way that we're going to do this is, I didn't want to get too much into ore processing now, but I really want to get good chances at gallium. So I think what we're going to do is we're not going to bother washing it. But we're going to crush it, and then we're going to put the crushed ore into a thermal centrifuge for a 33% chance at gallium. And then we macerate the centrifuged ore into sphalerite dust. We don't get this because we don't have HP macerators, but we will macerate into sphalerite dust, which then gives us another 5% chance per 2 dust at gallium. We don't need a huge amount of gallium right now, but it is somewhat low chances without the thermal centrifuge. And we can make one of those. They're not awful. They're not awful to make. It's just 2 circuits, copper wires, etc. So I'm just gonna go away and get the circuit crafting stuff. Get some more stuff crafted up, and then we'll go from there. There's our remaining 17 boards. And we'll go from there. But yeah, this is the sort of one of the pain points of early game, is the early circuit progression. But once we get into MV and start to get more machines and access to silicon wafers and whatnot, then things become a lot easier. So you do just sort of have to bear with it and sort of bear with me as I go through this, especially because this is my first time doing videos of sort of early progression. But yeah, we'll be back in a bit, and we'll get ourselves our first gallium, and we're back. Right, the thermal centrifuge is going. Not had any. Oh no, there we go. We have our first piece of gallium dust. We don't need a huge amount of this right now, so even just a few pieces will be good. But I'm throwing. I bought 2 stacks of sphalerite ore, so I'll be throwing 4 stacks of crushed ore through this thing. So we should end up with a decent amount of gallium dust for this point in the game. I also thrown more coal into here to get us more fennel. But while we're waiting for some of that, what we can do is we can actually we can go to the Nether. Because now that we have DML, we can get to the Nether. So we need to make the Nether cake. Nether portals don't work in this, and basically to do that we need Netherrack. We need Netherrack, and to get Netherrack, we actually combine. We combine dust and lava in a chemical reactor. So if you recall, dust is something we're automating here, so we will need 3 dust, and then we will need to go and grab some lava, which we can just put it in the Ender IO tank. I should probably sleep before we go to the overworld. But yeah, we can grab some lava from the overworld, and we can shove it in the chemical reactor with the dust, and that'll get us the Netherrack. And then the other thing we need is we will need some we will need some soul sand. These are supposed to render the fluid that's in them. I suspect the reason they're not is because of my shaders. I suspect that's the reason why they're not rendering the fluids inside. They do when they're held, they just don't do when they're in the world for some reason. So we'll get our netherrack, and then the next thing we need after netherrack is soul sand. So we have obsidian already. And soul sand is actually made from hellish matter and sand, which will give us 4. And hellish matter is made from overworldian matter and netherrack. So we actually needed 4 netherrack, I believe, because I think this is a 1-to-1 ratio. Yeah, that's a 1-to-1 ratio. We will just quickly go and grab one more. And then we'll just grab one more bucket. And then we can basically get our... and we'll get 4 of our overworldian matter as we move past. I definitely want to look at getting the dark steel armor with the upgrades. So Ender IO's dark steel armor is a upgradable set of armor, and we're not too far away from it, to be honest. I believe we can get some of the... We can get the actual armor now. The armor's just dark steel ingots, I'm fairly sure, which is just obsidian and steel. But to get the upgrades, I think we have to be an MP. But definitely want to get the... get that, because you get one of the 2 nice things you get from it is if you upgrade the leggings, you get speed boost, and it's pretty decent speed boost. And if you upgrade the feet, you get jump assist. We also have the ability to get the, I believe it's the 2nd tier of jetpack now, so I might craft that between episodes. But now we have our hellish matter. We just combine that with some sand. Oh yeah, we got the quest. We just combine that with... And then, yeah, there we go. And so that's the 3 netherrack dust we need for the cake. We just need a piece of sand. Put that in there, put that in there. That's our soul sand. And the quest for it is in here. So we will do... There is technically another way to get to this. You can get soul sand through the atomic reconstructor, but that requires MV. You know, you can get into MV and get the atomic reconstructor without going to the Nether, but going to the Nether does make things easier. So we need some obsidian. And then we need to make the cake base, which is just dough, which we get from wheat, and sugar, which we get from sugarcane, and then apparently it can take an empty bucket, which I find really weird. That it can take an empty bucket or a bucket of milk. But if we just get 2 sugar canes and throw them in there. I love how it takes 8 seconds to do 2 sugar canes. And then this is actually how we've been feeding ourselves. We've actually been making dough from these in order to make the baguettes to keep ourselves fed. So we'll just harvest all of this. We might as well. You can't starve in easy mode, as far as I'm aware, but you do need to keep your saturation up in order to regenerate damage and so on. And then that is just that, and then the sugar, and we should be able to make ourselves a Nether cake now. We'll only have to use it once, because after that we will just use the home command to teleport between dimensions. So we will only have to use it once, but there is our cake base, and there's only 1 more of these cakes to make, which I think you can guess which dimension that will be for. But we are a bit of a way off making that. We need to be well into MV before we can make that. But we got our To the Nether quest, and we'll just shove the cake there. And we can... you do lose the bucket, which is somewhat unfortunate, but whatever. Get rid of the seeds, and we can go to the Nether. And here we are. A very horrible, dark place that I'm sure probably doesn't look very nice on YouTube either. but I won't be spending much time in here on camera, and by the time I do, we'll probably have night vision. That is another really nice thing that we can get from the dark steel stuff. Is the helmet can give you night vision once you get the upgrades. But we'll just throw down some torches around our home area, and we'll do set home never. And there we go. This is how you get to the Nether. And primarily, we're going to want lots of glowstone. There's lots of ore in the roof. I don't know what sort of vein that is. But for now, we're just gonna go home. One of the other things that we'll want to put in the Nether is a gas collector at some point in order to gather Nether air. But we won't need that for a while. But anyway, let's see how much gallium. How much gallium do we have? We have 8 gallium. That is, I believe, pretty decent. If we look at the mixer, yeah, that's 16 gallium arsenide. That'll be enough. But I haven't processed the realgar ore yet to get the arsenic, so I'll go away and do that, and we'll be back. Just me again, quickly. One thing I did forget to mention when we came into the Nether is look out for these things. The magma blocks. Oh, this pickaxe is too fast now. Each one of these is 1 bucket of lava, and 1 bucket of lava in a fluid solidifier is one block of obsidian. So definitely keep an eye out for these. They're a very good source of lava. To get the lava from these, you just put it into a chemical reactor. So I thought I'd just quickly throw that little tidbit out. I'm gonna go back to getting us our first circuit. I'm just waiting for all the arsenic or the realgar ore to process. So we'll be back soon. And we are back. So I've got everything ready. I did just get a couple of extra machines while I was waiting for the ore to process and a few other bits and bobs. Basically just a couple of extra electrolyzers to make oxygen directly into an arc furnace, so we can get annealed copper, which gives us better ratios on the diodes, but also on resistors and a couple of other things. And basically we are just getting that from electrolyzing sand into silicon dioxide, and then silicon dioxide to oxygen and silicon, but we're voiding the silicon because we're already getting silicon from clay. So I got our first set of diodes. So unless I'm missing something, we should be able to craft our first MV circuit. Look at that. First MV circuit. One of not so many, because we're not going to be making a lot of these ones, because the ratio is awful. But we are going to use this one to make our LV circuit assembler, and then we'll probably wrap the episode there. So to make the LV circuit assembler, we need an emitter and a robot arm. And this isn't too bad, but this is somewhat expensive. So if we start with the conveyors, conveyors are nice and simple. They're just motors and... although we need more motors, I think. Yeah, we need more motors. They're just motors and... ah, that's why. They're just motors and rubber sheets and tin cable, so that's fine. I don't want to batch craft a load of motors just yet. We'll just make like 8 for now, because I can't remember how much resources we have left in the big chest. So we need a second one of you. So that's 2 conveyors. We then need the emitter. So the emitter is more brass rods, which I did throw in the lathe over here. So we should have some brass rods. And then it's also quartzite, which we had some left over from when I autoclaved some quartzite dust. I believe I did that. I believe I did that between episodes to get the auto miner. And there's the emitter. Now we want to hold that because we need a quest. There is a quest for the conveyor, but I don't know if we have it already. I think we had the conveyor one already, so I think we needed it for something else. So yeah, we're making it into the early game tab now. We now need to craft probably the most... Oh, it needs 2 of those. I thought it only needed 1 MV circuit. Luckily we have enough for 2. I didn't actually intentionally make enough diodes for 2. I'm bulk crafting them in the assembler, so when the assembler is finished we will have 64 diodes. So we'll make a piston. Make the robot arm. I think there might be a quest for that. Nope. And then we should be able to make the circuit assembler now. And we can make the circuit assembler. This is another big quality of life piece. This is going to make... so the basic LV circuits that we've been crafting until now, we can now make 2 of those for the cost of 1 in the circuit assembler. And the other thing, and the MV circuits that we just crafted, we will need a few more of those to make a few more MV machines, but they are also cheaper in the circuit assembler. So that's a big quality of life thing. So I think we'll wrap the episode here. I'm going to batch craft a load more stuff for circuits using the anneal copper. Oh, just one more thing actually. So we will be needing these very soon. The monocrystalline silicon bull. These take 7.5 minutes each in the blast furnace. So they're made from silicon dust, which we have renewably, and a single small pile of gallium arsenide. So basically, you can make 4 of these from 1 full pile of gallium arsenide. These are. And then you cutting machine them into 16 wafers each, so 4 will sort of do us for now, but we definitely will have to make more. My advice is if you're sort of at the stage where I am and you have kind of stable power where you can leave this going for a while, just chuck a bunch of these in and go do something else. Go do something else in the pack or AFK or whatever. But yeah, they are very time consuming. And they will be our primary source of silicon wafers until we get phosphorus and a HV blast furnace. Or basically until we get HV blast furnace and cutting machine. But we'll sort of wrap the episode here. I'll go bulk craft some more stuff and we'll get ready for MV. I think I might actually do the MV line here. I don't know. I probably should, because I should have room, even with a blast furnace on this side, I should have room for the HV stuff. HV is not a tier that we want to settle in. So basically the aim in... sorry, not HV, MV. MV is not a tier that we want to settle in. We basically just want to craft the sort of bare minimum machines we need to get through MV to HV. Because then when we get to HV, we'll probably start replacing some of those machines with much faster versions, and we will get cheaper circuits, and we'll get better ore processing. We'll start looking at ore processing at HV. So basically, MV, we just want to get through it sort of as quickly as we can to start getting our first HV machines, and then from there we can start looking at things like applied energistics, and other cool things. So for now, I'll wrap the episode here. Thank you very much for watching if you've made it this far, and I hope you have a lovely day.